We spent $300 the first day in ads, and it just went viral. Insane. Like, we're getting $5 book calls, like qualified calls for months.
What's your guys' best month with the coaching business so far?
380.
380. That's solid, man.
My idea for an offer is there's a lot of single, lonely guys out there that are good-looking, good dudes, but they just don't know how to attract a girl. There's a lot of guys with money that want a girl, that are single, that work in finance and stuff, that are like 30 years old. So ready? $10,000 up front plus $1,000 a month. I'll literally tell you what pictures to take, manage your whole Tinder, put my VAs in there, get you one high-quality date a week.
Welcome back to another episode of Bridging the Gap. I'm your host, Bridger Rogers. Today, I bring Eric Michael to the podcast. He went from a broke dropshipper just 3 years ago to generating millions of dollars, helping people build a six-figure income selling sports cards. That's cards with a D, not a Lamborghini or a Porsche.
Correct.
Baseball cards, football cards, hockey cards. And so today we're about to pull back the curtains and share with you exactly how he's built a multi-seven-figure coaching business in just under 3 years, and also how someone like yourself can get started with selling sports cards and making a nice little side hustle. Eric, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here. It was a long drive. I live upstairs. So it was close.
Yeah, he just popped down. We got a good little community here. A lot of the guys, we just had Cole on the podcast.
Yeah, it's awesome. This building's awesome.
A couple days ago. So, well, cool. So one of the things I was looking forward to bringing you on the podcast for specifically is we were chatting about webinars. We were chatting about ads. We were chatting about so many different skills to build a successful online business. I want to really take it back to when you first started in the online space. What were you doing with drop shipping? And ultimately, what did you find as far as, because there's so many people that want to try drop shipping, right?
Okay.
And some people are successful. I have a couple guys that have been successful on it. But why for you did you not find success in that? And why did you later find success in coaching?
Okay, so it actually starts earlier than that.
Okay.
And I didn't think of it like the online space, but so it started in about June of 2015. So I'm from a town called Wayne, New Jersey. There's 2 high schools in my town. And I heard about this kid that lived in that went to the other high school, lived on the other side of town. He bought his own car, CAR, with $30,000 when we were 17. Okay. You know, when you're a senior in college, people get their license. And I heard about this, and I was like, dude, how did you buy your own car?
High school or college?
This is high school.
Okay.
And he bought a brand new sport, it's like the most expensive Toyota Corolla there is. So it was like $30,000. And I was like, dude, what's up? Like, how do you have money? I was delivering pizza at the time. And he's like, I buy and sell sports cards. And this was 2015. And now sports cards are kind of a big thing after the pandemic. They like really exploded. But back then I was like, no, you don't. There's no way. You saved up this much money from buying and selling sports cards. And
cards with a D, guys. Cards
with a D. And he was like, no, I do. So I was like, I'm coming over your house and you're going to show me this. So he showed me this is how to make money with sports cards. I became obsessed. Did it all throughout college. I paid my way through college using sports cards.
Wow.
And then long story short, I was studying finance and going into my last semester of college. I had an internship, sitting in a cubicle as a financial analyst that lasted for 5 days. And I was like, this is the worst experience I've ever had in my life. So I quit. And then I was like, sports cards are cool. At the time, I was making a few grand a month from flipping them and traveling the country, going to card shows. But I was like, I got to build something bigger. I cannot get a cubicle job. This is horrible. And so that's when I just got into Amazon FBA. I lost a little bit. And that's when I got into drop shipping. And I got into drop shipping January of 2019. So I was on like a buzzer. I was on like a timeline because I was graduating in May. I needed to make something of myself before May. So I was trying products. I remember I would go to the library every Sunday. I'd pop an Adderall, sit there for 12 hours and just test 4 products every Sunday and let it run for the week. And I did that for 5 months straight, or 4 months straight. And in the last month, in April, I discovered this product that was selling pretty well. It was like this colorful pair of sandals. And I invested a lot of money and time into drop shipping. I bought a $5,000 course. I watched all the YouTube videos you possibly could, all that stuff. And I discovered this pair of sandals. No one was really selling it. And I was buying them for about $8 each, selling them for $44 each. It would cost me about $25 in Facebook ads to get someone to buy. So my profit margins were about 25%. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I just ramped it up from April to May. So that first month of selling those sandals, I had $60,000 in sales. And I didn't get a job out of college. I was living the life. I was partying in California. Like, this is great. I made it, yada, yada. Then when I got back from California, some returns started to come in. I was like, okay, this is weird. So I had the product actually delivered to my house. And once it got delivered to my house, I was like, ooh, this is bad. So the supplier in China was just lying about what the product looked like. It looked like one thing, but in reality, it looked like a total different thing. Long story short, got slammed with returns, lost every single dollar I had. So I saved up like 50, 60 grand from buying and selling sports cards and had zero in June of 2019. And what I did to get back on my feet is I would tell my brother Brian, I'd be like, hey, give me $10,000. Let me go to this card show in San Francisco. I'd make myself like $1,000, $2,000. I'd give my brother like a few $100s, give him the money back plus a few $100, and I just kept doing that every single weekend because I was good at buying and selling sports cards. But that's what like propelled me into the online space. So yeah, that's my drop shipping story.
Wow, that's crazy. So you started off with sports cards, and then why didn't you just stick with the sports cards if that was making you money?
Well, so it was making me money. And like the best months, it would make me like 8 to 10K a month. But what happened? So you got to remember. So June of 2019 is when I had that epic failure, and then I got into the world. So I kept pushing forward, and then I started a real estate marketing agency. And I was using my sports card money to like supply my like digital marketing failures. And so kept trying things. And then I met my business partner. He was an old college roommate of mine. Turns out we had similar interests and we started to get into these ventures. None of them would work. And we moved to Florida, to Miami, to really just get away from all our distractions and try to make something work. And
Miami. No distractions.
There's a lot of distractions there, but it was good for us because it was away from our friends and family.
Okay.
Because those are our biggest distractions. You know, would we go to the club once a week? Of course, but you know, that's only a few hours. The rest of the week was just grind and focus, and there was nothing to distract us. So I remember March 13th of 2020. I don't know, it's weird how I remember all these dates, but my buddy goes to me because the way I was paying for our Miami venture was through flipping sports cards, and he was like, you know what? I think people would pay us to learn what you know about sports cards. And I actually said to him, I'm like, that's a stupid idea. No one would ever pay for that. I didn't know about this world of like coaching and B2C and all this stuff. I had no idea. So, but we knew how to set up from my dropshipping days. I knew how to set up I knew how to use Go High Level, set up an ad, run it to a small little video, to a calendar. And we're like, let's try it. So we launched it on March 15th, which was a Friday of 2020, I believe. And we opened up the calendar on Monday. And you got to remember, this was the pandemic. So all this alternative stuff is going crazy, right? Like crypto, stocks, sports cards were going crazy. And also marketing was cheap, right? The cost per impression back then was like really cheap because like everyone was online because no one was doing anything during the pandemic. And we launched it and we spent $300 the first day in ads and it just went viral, like insane. Like we were getting $5 book calls, like qualified calls for months. And then, yeah, that's kind of how the journey started. Just a lot of losing money, making money, losing money, but it's brought me here. But that's kind of how we got into it. And then, yeah, that's how we got into it.
That's crazy. And so you've been doing this for about 3 years and you've generated, what's your best month so far?
For flipping sports cards or Major League profits?
Well, your best month was like 8 to 10K for flipping sports cards, right?
Oh, no, ever. Flipping sports cards, the most I've made in a month is like, probably the week of the National Card Show 2 years ago, like 80 to 90,000 in profit.
In a month?
Yeah. Well, one card I flipped for like a $60,000 profit, so
kind
of cheating.
Which card was it? We'll throw it up here.
It was a Justin Herbert National Treasures numbered to 99 from 2020. That card used to be worth, so I paid, it was a $40,000 profit. I paid 70 grand for it and I flipped it for 110,000. This was at the National Card Show in Atlantic City, New Jersey in 2022. But that card now is worth like 40, 50 grand. It's dipped a lot because he doesn't win any games. But yeah, that's the biggest profit. And I made a bunch of other money that weekend, obviously, too. So it came out to like 80, 90.
8 or 9. That's crazy. That's awesome, dude. That's cool you found that. Because I know, like, for example, guys like Gary Vee, they're big on like flipping.
Yeah.
Like all kinds of shit, right? Did you get any inspiration from that? Or did you just saw the guy that was rolling around in a sports card?
Okay, so actually the way Major League profits started is there's actually a little bit more that goes into it. So Gary Vee was huge on sports cards around the pandemic. You probably remember that.
Yeah.
And my buddy commented, I don't have Twitter or X. So like, I guess he like retweeted something or commented on one of Gary Vee's things. Like, what would you think of like joining a program that helps you with sports cards? My buddy just made that simple comment and he got like 10 replies saying like, oh, is there one? Where could I go? Where could I sign up? And that's how he got the inspiration to tell me, yo, we should start this program teaching what you know. And that's how it actually started. So the original inspiration came from Gary Vee. I remember when we were first starting Major League Profits, I went up to him. He was at a sports card show, and a bunch of cameras around him, and people going up to him asking him for advice. You know how Gary Vee is. And I said to him, I was like, hey, like I'm thinking about starting a coaching program, teaching people how to make money with sports cards. And I'll never forget this. He stopped and looked at me dead in the eye, and he said, "That's a great fucking idea, kid." And that really like motivated me. I was like, okay, if he thinks this is a good idea, it must be a good idea. And then the best ad we've ever ran was actually right after he told me that. I took a picture with him, and we used that as an ad, and that ad went crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that was back in 2020.
Leveraging other people's status.
Yep.
OPS.
Yes. Yes.
That's fire. So why do you think that ad went viral? Do you think it was because of the Gary Vee or because of some of the creative you put behind it, or both?
Gary Vee. He was just talking about sports cards a lot in every podcast.
Was it a video or a still?
It was just a picture.
It's just a photo. And what was the
do
you remember what the copy was on that?
The copy was extremely basic. I didn't know anything about copy back then, and I wrote it. It was just like, hey, like, I've always been a proponent of being very realistic in my marketing. So, like, hey, do you want to make like a realistic side income buying and selling sports cards? I've been doing it since 2015. I've helped X amount of people. Click the link below. Watch the free training. If you think it makes sense for you, schedule a call after. Something very simple. We've tested a few different copies with it, but the ad is what. Every time we launched that ad with any type of copy, it just went crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, we ran that for like a year.
That's fire, dude. Okay. I love it. Yeah, you're giving me some ideas because I've met some cool people, and I feel
you
like
could use that stuff.
Yeah, using like the different people I've met. So let's say someone's watching this right now and they're in the similar spot as you. They either are in a dead end job, they're depressed as shit, and they want to get out of that situation. And knowing what you know now, how would you go back into sports cards? What would you do?
What's your goal? That's the question, right? There's two different types of people. Like my goal, like, I didn't know anything about business. So my goal when I first was 17 years old delivering pizza, I was like, oh, this is a cool way to make money. I like sports. But then once I had that instance where I quit my cubicle job and I realized that's not the life I wanted to go all in and start like a whole on business, with employees and marketing and sales and all that stuff. But like, I could speak for the people that we help, and you'll see it in all of our ads, is, hey, do you work a 9-to-5 job? Add an extra $1,000 to $2,000 per month. If that's what you're looking to do, sports cards is for you. If you're looking to scale a multiple 7-figure business, sports cards, not for you. Sports cards, like a realistic, simple way to make $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month. If you're looking to really make $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month plus in profit, then my best advice is to, first of all, you have to know digital marketing, right? And there's two ways to do that. I did it the wrong way. I started a business and I made tons of mistakes and lost a bunch of money and a lot of ups and downs. Or you could just become a sales rep for a big company, like a big online company, get paid, see how everything works, and then start your own company. I believe that's what Cole Gordon did, right? He worked for Traffic and Funnels. So get paid to learn instead of trying to figure it out yourself. But that's if you're looking to, go for glory. If you're just a 9-to-5er, you just want an extra few grand a month, I'm your guy. Sports cards is amazing. If you're looking to make $50,000 a month, not for you.
Yeah, I like that explanation. So first off, I want to talk about how you've been able to build your team. Because how many people do you have working with you right now?
All in all, somewhere between like 15 to 17.
15 to 17 people. And what's your guys' best month with the coaching business so far?
380 in cash.
380. That's solid, man. So what have you found? Because you're not solo owner, right? You have some partners?
Just one business partner.
Just one business partner?
What is like the behind the scenes? I'm the face of it.
Okay, so
he runs the sales team.
Would you say he's more like the integrator and you're the visionary? If you've read Rocket Fuel EOS?
Yes, I'm the optimistic, creative person that wants to push, and he's the pessimistic, realistic person that kind of holds me down. So it's just like this balance.
Ooh, I like that, dude.
Yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
So we went to Rutgers University, which is. Are you from America? Or
Yeah.
Canada?
No, I'm from America. No, my business partner Greg he lives in Canada.
Are you from the North?
I'm from North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene.
Okay, I was gonna say I heard some sort of Midwestern accent.
Really?
When you were talking, yeah. But the way we met.
My family's from like Indiana and stuff. So
okay, yeah, I heard the Midwest in there, but sometimes Midwest and Canada I get confused. But the way we met, so Rutgers University, my junior year, which was 2017 to 2018, I still remember the address of the house, 111 Gilden Street.
Okay.
I had a bunch of friends from my hometown who I lived with, and we needed a few other people. One of my friends played on the club volleyball team. John, my business partner, John Suarez, he also played on the club volleyball team. And they just hooked up and were like, yo, we need another person. And John was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we lived together. No business-related stuff. John, honestly, was kind of a bum. He'd wake up at noon, get drunk all the time. And I was still doing, I'd go out and party, but I was buying into like sports cards. I was probably a little bit more serious about life than he was. Mm-hmm. And then he flunked out. Then I flunked out a year later. But when he flunked out, he went back to Long Island, where he was from, and he started working for a digital marketing company that focused on SEO. For those of you guys that don't know, it stands for search engine optimization, website stuff. And he got into digital marketing. We didn't speak for like a year, and then I got into digital marketing, right? Because I hated that cubicle job. And then just one day we were on the phone for some reason, and John was telling me about like how he works at a digital marketing company, and I was like, oh, like I'm into this stuff too, and like. We just started talking more and more. And we're like, all right, we obviously have common interests. We get along. We like to do the same things because, dude, having a business partner, as you probably know, is more intense than marriage, right? Like,
yeah.
You better get along. And we do phenomenally. Like, we're like, peas and, what's the saying? Peas and pods.
Two peas in a pod.
Yeah, 2 peas in a pod. Yeah, we have all the similar, even though we have opposite personalities, like all the same interests, both love sports, to go out, do all sorts of fun things. We lived together for the past 4 years with no problems ever. So,
do you guys still live together or no?
No, because he's close with his family in New York, and I told him I just can't take it in New York anymore. I got to get out.
You lived in New York City?
No, Long Island. Kind of
Okay.
out east by the Hamptons.
Okay.
A little bit more. So like the suburbs of New York City. And we lived there for years. Well, we lived in Miami, Austin, Long Island, but most of it was in Long Island. And yeah, I just hated the cold, man. And then I heard about this building we live in. I was like, that is where I belong.
Really?
That's
and when did you move in?
July 30th of this year, so 2023.
Oh, so you're new. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Scottsdale, my man.
I'm never leaving, so.
You're never leaving. You love it that much. What do you love about Scottsdale?
Dude, all the entrepreneurs you meet. I mean, I can go in order. So it's like, number 1 is the entrepreneurs and the like-minded people. Number 2 is the weather. Number 3, what you pay. So Scottsdale's not cheap, obviously, but what you pay here versus what you pay in New York, your bang for your buck here is way better. Like, look at all the amenities we have. It's not that cheap, but you get it. And then number 4. Just all the outside activities, and then number 5, the girls. So in that order, the girls are amazing.
Are you single?
Single, yeah.
Single and ready to mingle.
Yep, I'm pretty.
What's your type? Do you have a type laid out, like your dream girl or your ideal type? Or what do you got?
Fit blondes, but like fit blondes, then like I don't have a type.
Fit blondes, dude.
I know what I'm not into, but I don't want to say that out loud. But yeah, I'm a degenerate when it comes to like that's like I focus on my work, but like I forget if I told you this, but I I have virtual assistants that help me find sports cards, and I took one of these virtual assistants and I taught him how to manage my Tinder and Hinge. So he like has scripts he follows, and I pay him on like a commission basis to like get girls' phone numbers.
Wow,
it's pretty sick.
How does it work out for you?
It's amazing.
How many phone numbers do you get a week?
When I first got here and I was more serious about it because it became too much. I was getting like phone numbers a week, 7 to 12 maybe.
Wow.
And then it gave me the option to be picky, like because I had a bunch of options to choose from, so I'd go on like 1 date a week. But I cooled down once it just became too much. So
too much.
Now it's only like once every month maybe I hang out with the girl, maybe. But it's pretty cool because Tinder and Hinge, like
it's a lot of time you have to put in.
A lot of time, and these things are addictive, right? So just like Facebook and Instagram. So like that's why I just like to offload it.
Yep.
Be like, you focus on it, I'll pay you your $3-4 an hour and get me my matches. And then when I want to download the app on Friday or Saturday, I could, and choose from the playing field.
Bro, that's epic. You want to hear something crazy?
Do it. Go.
You and I are 2 peas in a pod. I did the same thing.
Oh, did you?
I did it back in 2021. I actually built
you're ahead of me.
I built an agency, and I helped like 5 or 6 of my boys like create. And I went nuts. I created 3 accounts. I created 3 Tinder accounts, and I was
crazy.
Bro, and I would rotate them every couple weeks based on the matches I was getting. And so I decided for my 21st birthday I was going to go gallivant around Europe, and I lined up 2 to 3 dates in over 6 different countries and dated Swedish women.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Spanish women, like
that's what I did before moving to Scottsdale. I put my location here, so I had like 5 or 6 girls lined up that I could hang out with. That's epic.
I had a girl pick me up from the airport in Sweden.
That's great.
Never met, but she was like ready to like hang out, and so we like hung out, took me out to dinner, showed me
You're
around.
ahead of the curve. That's an idea for an offer I always had. But I just don't want to get distracted. But my idea for an offer is to target like guy. You know, there's a lot of single, lonely guys out there that are good looking, good dudes, but they just don't know how to attract a girl. Because attracting a girl, dude, you know, it's a game.
Work.
It's a game. You got to know what you're doing. You need that confidence. So like, there's a lot of guys with money that want a girl, that are single, that work in finance and stuff, that are like 30 years old. So ready, $10,000 up front.
Yep.
Plus $1,000 a month, and I'll literally tell you what pictures to take, manage your whole Tinder, put my VAs in there, get you one high quality date a week. And the goal is hopefully they stop paying you, unless they just want to fuck around. But you know, you can get them into a serious relationship. And you know, people watching this who are like, you know, your average 9-to-5 person might think $10,000, that's insane. But yeah, that's $10,000 that really increases your chances of happiness and finding someone you might love, as opposed to, you know, we pay $100,000 to go to school to learn things that are useless, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always had that idea for an offer, but you know, the sports card stuff is
taken
better.
off. Yeah.
So like,
I've tested it.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I actually did 12,000. So I did 12,000 and gave them 90 days and was going to charge them month after month. It worked, dude. I got great results from my clients. I actually had a come to Jesus moment. Funny enough, I was at Funnel Hacking Live. Garrett J. White comes on. He starts speaking how he was like chasing women, chasing money, like unfulfilled. And I grew up Christian. So,
okay.
So for me, I felt like I was kind of starting to be a two-timer.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
People, when you say the word Tinder and Hinge, the immediate thought is people think, oh, you just want to have sex
Hook
with
up.
girls.
Yeah.
But what if you switched your mind and you're like, I'm helping guys get closer to actually, because like,
well, that was the idea. I was doing that. I wasn't just helping guys hook up, but then there were some guys who obviously abused the system and just wanted to hook up. And so my soul was like, man, I feel bad, dude.
I mean, they're gonna abuse the system anyways. You might as well help them and get paid for it. But yeah,
it was a great idea though. It was working. I just couldn't. My soul, it worked though, dude. I was starting to scale it. I had the systems, had the processes.
It's a slippery slope.
I had like 7 VAs and a VA manager that was training all of them. They were like training, like it would have taken off. It was 2021, and then, but yeah, I pulled the plug on it. Decided to do something else. Went and sold for Brian Page, B&B formula.
Okay, nice.
So I did that and scaled that up.
What's amazing about a business like that is when you I've never been on a sales call, but like it's such an emotional purchase. Like being single and lonely is such an emotional thing, and you really want to not be single and lonely. So like selling something like that is easy, in my opinion. I would think it's easy.
It was a lot easier.
Yeah, I could imagine, like, dude, a guy comes on in a polo shirt, working in his cubicle job, and he's lonely and hasn't had sex with a girl in a year, bro. He's giving you 10 grand.
Easily, dude.
Yeah, easy.
And especially if he's making 150, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. I mean, I was closing.
He has no expenses. He has no family, right? He's
exactly.
saving all the money,
got profit. So yeah, it was a good offer, dude. Maybe I'll turn it back on eventually. I found that some of the highest quality women just never use dating apps because they had so much options. Like they walk out their front door. So it's like,
that's true.
And then the ones that did use it that were also hot, those ones were just like attention whores, dude. Like it's hard to sift through.
Dating is a double-edged sword now. Cause like on one hand, right, there's so much more volume. And like you gotta go on Tinder and meet all these women. But on the other hand, because if you're an attractive girl, you know, you get slams of messages, like
Instagram,
so like
email, Facebook.
It really, like, for lack of a better term, gives these girls a sense of entitlement because they have so much self-esteem boost all day. These guys are just telling them they're beautiful. I want to pay for a vacation. I want to take you out. So like, on one hand, you know, a lot of volume. On the other hand, a lot of these girls, you know, just kind of feel entitled, and you know, so it's give and take. But that's just the world we live in now. So.
Yeah. So what's been your experience dating in Scottsdale?
So this is how it happened. This is how it worked. Came here, hooked up with a bunch of chicks, met this amazing girl. We talked for only 2 weeks, and then we stopped talking because she was too religious. I grew up Jewish, but I'm not religious. She wanted me to go to church every day. So
every day? Was she Catholic?
No, I meant every Sunday. Sunday, sorry.
She was, that's a bit much.
I'm not opposed to church. I think church is a great thing. I've been, but that's just not what I want to do on my Sunday. I want to watch football. I want to work out in the morning. And I told her, nope, not happening. And we stopped talking. And you would think after going through something like that, you know, I liked her a lot, but I realized it would never go anywhere. You know, you would go on Hinge and Tinder and these apps and hang out with even more girls. But after that happened, which was like 2-3 months ago, I just like stopped. I just like stopped hanging out with girls. The weirdest thing, I know. It's supposed to flip. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. So that's my dating.
I have a hypothesis about that because the
Tell me.
same thing's happened to me. I know a bunch of other guys that have had the same thing. I think what happens when you meet a girl that you really like and that doesn't work out, and maybe you start to dip your toe in the water a little bit, you're like, shit, they're not as good. So then dating actually becomes a miserable experience because then you're comparing it to the last chick.
Yes, that is 100% true. And also the other thing that I didn't mention, so like I'll be transparent. So I've been single. I've only had one girlfriend in my life. So I've been single for 8-something years, like about 8 years.
Wow.
And I haven't had this is going to sound crazy. So, because I've met so many girls and lived all over, but I've never had a connection. I haven't had a connection with a girl in 8 years until that one.
Wow.
So like, I think that told my mind, like, wait, you could actually connect with a girl. So instead of just wasting your time fucking around, go and find someone you'll actually care about. So like, I think it was like a reality check for me. Like, whoa, like I'm not a permanent fuckboy, for lack of a better term. Just you could actually like someone. I think that's what happened to my brain.
Okay.
But yeah, it's funny how that worked.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it clicked for you. What
So.
What was your first girlfriend like? Was she also religious and pulling you
She
to
was
church?
Italian. It was like the end of high school into the beginning of college, but I ruined the relationship because I was going out too much, partying in college. But no, she was an amazing girl, amazing family, like super. Like,
was she religious Christian though?
no,
or no?
she grew up Jewish, but not religious
Okay.
like me. It was just a coincidence that we were both Jewish.
Okay.
But just super great girl. And I realized years later, I kind of knew it when it was happening, but like I completely ruined the relationship. Amazing girl, amazing family. Sorry, Lauren. I completely ruined that one. And just that was 100% my fault. But she has an amazing family. Her mom was super.
Is she married now? Is she off the market?
Dude, I don't know what happened. Oh man, that's a funny story. So what happened with that is we used to run Instagram shoutouts.
Okay.
We stopped running them, but as you know, with Instagram shoutouts, a lot of the reels you post are very like emotional, sentimental, stuff like that. And my VA, who was doing my content at the time, made a reel with her in it. Her face was blocked off, but she was in it. And like I think her sister saw it maybe and commented, or she did, and then her sister commented like these nasty things at me. And then my VA messaged me, was like, "Who is this person?" I was like, "That is the person in the reel." So then I think my VA blocked them. But this is like a year ago when I used to live in Texas.
Savage.
Sorry, Lauren. My apologies.
Texas, where all my exes live.
Yeah, but that reel was the best reel I ever had. I think it did a few 100,000. So which is why I didn't want to delete it. Because like if it got like 10,000 views or 5,000 views, I would have just deleted it. But I had like 150 or like 200. So I was like, I don't want to delete it, man.
That's crazy,
I'd rather
man.
just block you.
Oh, that's savage, dude. So you met this girl, you have a connection. Dude, do you think there's a coincidence that she was Christian or had like any sort of like religious, like do you think that spark had like that she maybe had with God? Is there any
Yeah, there's definitely
connection?
a correlation because she had a great moral compass, and that moral compass probably comes from going to church, right? So yeah, I think there's a girls that go to church more are probably more wholesome people.
Yeah.
Right. There's probably a correlation. So yeah, there's definitely a correlation. Yeah.
I love it.
Totally.
So you don't like going to church Sunday.
Well, I'm Jewish. Born and raised Jewish.
So that means you go Saturday, or what does that mean?
Jewish people either go Friday night or Saturday morning. But once again, I'm not religious.
You're not religious anymore, yeah.
Born and raised Jewish, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's crazy, dude. So you kind of ran through some of the Scottsdale women. Now you're looking for something serious.
I guess so. I think I kind of just have that like I just don't give a shit mentality.
Just waiting for it to pop up.
I guess so. Like I could really care less because I love business. I love the fact that I just have total freedom every single day. It's just me and my dog. I could do what I want.
You got a great dog. I see you walking him all the time.
Do you see me with the skateboard? You ever see that?
Yeah, dude, I have actually. I've seen you like. Does he pull you on the skateboard?
Well, no, that skateboard's electric. It's called a one wheel. It goes up to like 20 miles an hour.
What?
So, because she requires, I feel bad because like she's a dog that requires so much exercise. She's a Basenji. It's not a common breed in America. Basenji. Actually, she's a barkless dog, but she just requires a lot of exercise.
Barkless dog?
Barkless dog.
I've
She
never heard
howls
of
like
that.
a wolf when she makes noise.
What?
But doesn't bark. Yeah. It's they're from Egypt. They're not common, but I got her because my business partner who I used to live with was allergic to dogs that shed. And dogs that don't shed are usually like poodles and stuff, but I'm not a fan of poodles. And I found this breed called the Basenji when we lived in Miami, and I drove from Miami to Tampa the next day to get her as soon as I found her. And yes, but I take her on that skateboard because she requires a lot of exercise.
What's the dog life like? You like it?
Oh yeah, I love it. I love having a dog. Just
How many times do you have to take your dog out?
3 to 4.
3 to 4 times a day. Do you enjoy like getting out though and getting a walk and taking a break or no?
No, the only time I enjoy is when I'm on the skateboard. Honestly, that I enjoy. I just put in my headphones. There's a big neighborhood back there, like straight back there. I just take it right through that neighborhood for a few miles and come back.
Oh yeah.
So
Cool,
that part I enjoy. The skateboard I enjoy.
Very cool. So how do you spend your days now? Like what is a day in the life of Eric? If we followed you around with the camera, what time you waking up? What time you going to bed? What are you doing first thing in the morning? What's your day look like?
So my day looks like, so I wake up, alarm goes off at 6 a.m. I get down to the gym. We have a gym right downstairs at about 6:10 a.m. Then I work out till about 7:10. I get on my computer from 7:30. Just like any, how we've been taught, us business owners do the most highest leverage tasks first because my mind is sharpest in the morning. So whether it's recording ads, writing emails, watching a course, writing copy. On Wednesdays, I do my YouTube videos. So that goes to like 11 or 12. And then I usually meetings for a few hours. And then right now, actually, I had to hop back on the sales calendar because we're testing something new. So right now, my days are actually, I have a lot of calls, potential new people coming in. But after that, so usually I'm not on sales calls. We have a sales team. And then after I'm with the meetings, I take my dog out, come back, tackle whatever I was doing in the morning, finish it up. I usually go downstairs on my laptop for that. Then I finish up at around 4 or 5. And I work out again, usually something to do with cardio. Either I do Pilates or tennis or basketball or something like that. And then I usually watch sports at night and go on my laptop and, just whatever questions need to be answered in Slack or just tackle whatever I need to do before the next day just to get ahead.
I love it, dude. So what are your big goals in 2024? What are you looking to accomplish?
We've made some huge strides with Major League Profits, like in terms of fulfillment. Like our fulfillment got like 10 times better in the last month. So like just scale the crap out of that. And at the same time, I've made it a lot easier and a lot more attainable for these people to make money with sports cards. So just help more people, scale the business. So
I love that.
That's really the goal.
Okay, so scale the business, and at some point, right? Like we've all gotten there. If you're a successful business owner, which is like you already start making like a good amount of money, like it's not going to change your lifestyle unless you get to like a whole new level of wealth. So for you, what keeps you driven? Like what drives Eric? Is it more money, more impact? Like is it just you love the game of business? Like what is your driving factor to keep going after you've already you're making hundreds of thousands a month?
Yeah, I tell people this all the time because they ask me that question. Even when I first started, like I was never the type, we live in this nice building, of course, but a Lamborghini, this and that, will I buy it one day? Will I not? I don't know. I don't really care. Like as long as I have enough to pay for rent and go to Chipotle, my life's fulfilled and exercise. So I love the game. I just love learning. I love getting better. I love to help people in business. And then I just love to help people make money with sports cards, right? Like doing testimonials with clients who joined your program a few months ago and now have made a few $1,000s extra. Sure, that's not a lot of money to maybe me and you, but to someone working a 9 to 5 and getting a stable paycheck, it's life changing. Not only does it give them more money to their bank account, it gave them a new whole way of thinking in life. Like, I could actually control my own income and make money myself. And maybe like sports cards did for me, it could lead them into bigger ventures like it did for me. So that's probably the most fulfilling thing and why I push so hard. I mean, also I'm 26, so I have a lot of energy too. I just love learning, love the competition, and love helping people with the same thing that helped me get to where I am. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the thing that kept you from going under, dude. Right? Like every time, it's like some people it's sales, some people it's another skill. For me, it's sales. Anytime that I've gotten into a tough spot, I'm like, gotta go make some more sales.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? For you, it's like I gotta go sell more sports cars.
Yep.
But it's really sales, though, isn't it? Dude, let's talk about this for a second. How do you take? Like, is there any sort of salesmanship that goes into sports cards, or is it purely just understanding the market and finding the right card?
Understanding the market. Sales is very little. You could
little.
You could be the driest, most boring person ever and make a lot of money from sports cards. Okay. So sales, not much. Understanding the market, yes. So the way to make money in sports cards, there's 2 ways. The first way, it's a 3-step process. So what you could do, you could buy sports cards. And these sports cards can be found all over the place. Card shows, eBay, Facebook, Instagram, they're all over. And what you can do is get them graded. What grading a card means is you're buying it, you're sending it to this company, and this company is grading it based on its quality and condition. If the quality and condition is good, the card will go up 2, 3, 4 times. So for example, this is a big example. This could be done with cards that are like $100-$200 usually, but I buy more expensive cards at this point. So I bought a card of Shohei Ohtani, right? It's a big player for the Dodgers now, and I paid $9,750 for the card. And I actually I met the guy in person. Actually, I gave him cash, or my buddy did in Pennsylvania. He gave him cash, and I sent the card into grading to this company called PSA. It graded a 10, and this is a big card, so it's went up a lot. So like now I have an offer of $28,000. I said no to it because I think the card's worth more. But so you can buy a card, get it graded, and make money. And the same principle applies with cards that are $100. You can buy a card for $100 of Anthony Edwards, Trevor Lawrence, any of these guys, get it graded. Once it grades a 10, it's worth a lot more money. But you have, I'm making it sound easier than it actually is. You have to understand how to negotiate, how to find the value of these cards. Is the card in good condition based on the corners, the edges, the centering, the surface, the autograph? If all these things check out, get the card graded, it grades a 10, you can make, realistic money. And it's great because you just need your phone and a Wi-Fi connection and a post office, I guess. But, you don't need sales skills or marketing skills, no affiliate marketing, no drop shipping, no websites, no conversions, no ads, no meetings, none of that stuff. It's just you're flipping sports cards. It's very realistic and attainable.
That's interesting. So do you know what the history of sports cards is? Because for me, when I'm thinking about a piece of paper with someone's face on it, and it's worth 10 grand, 100 grand, 50 grand.
There's an autograph on it.
Well, there's an autograph, I guess. Is that what makes it valuable, the autograph?
There's cards not autographed, especially vintage ones that sell for boatloads of money.
What's the history of sports cards? Where did they come from? When did they first start? And why do they appreciate so much?
That's a good question. So sports cards. So the golden era of sports cards. If you say that word today, it refers to cards from usually 1959 and below. So the reason that's the golden era is because back then in the 50s, 40s, 30s, these cards, a lot of them came from, before that. So like the 1910s and 20s, these cards came from cigarette packs. Then companies like Topps, have you heard of the company Topps?
I think so.
They produce like sports stuff and sports cards as well.
Yeah.
They started producing sports cards in the 40s and 50s, I think. And people didn't think anything of them. Like they would just throw them around, play with them, throw them out. Like they would worth probably less than a piece of toilet paper. But because so many people in the 40s and 50s threw out cards and they thought they were trash, there's not a lot of them. So those cards from that era are worth a lot of money. And then you go into the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, some of it, sports cards got really big, really, really big, like really big. And the market actually crashed in the 90s. The reason the market crashed in the 90s is because, let me give you an example. So like Ken Griffey Jr., right? The baseball player? So his rookie card's from 1989. And you might hear someone that'll say, how could a Ken Griffey Jr. card be worth less than a Zion Williamson card? Well, because Ken Griffey Jr.'s rookie card back then in the 80s, they would take the same exact card of the same exact picture and just print tens of thousands of them, right? So a lot of supply, which eventually the demand goes down, market crashes. And they did that for all the players, right? One player would just have one rookie card and they'd print the thing 1,000,000 times. Now, so the market crashed at some point in the 90s. I wasn't alive. And then coming back around 2010, 2011, 2012, the market started to revitalize, if that's the correct way to use that word. And what these companies did, they looked back into the past and said, okay, the market crashed in the 90s because we kept producing the same crap over and over again. So nowadays, if you look at a card of, let's say, LeBron James, right? He has hundreds of different types of rookie cards, autograph, not autograph, this color, that color, the name of the product is this and that. So they made a lot of diversification. So you'll have LeBron James rookie cards. There's ones out there that are worth millions. There's ones out there that are worth $100. So they made tons of different variants, for lack of a better term. So they started doing that in the 2010s, and then 2020 hit, the pandemic, the market just went crazy. The craziest thing I've ever seen. I knew it wasn't going to last, but just to give you an example, like in 2019, a LeBron James, what's called a Topps Chrome 2003, graded a 10, his rookie card, that's like his most famous rookie card, was worth about $2,000 in 2019. If you fast forward a year, it's like December of 2020, that same card was 30 grand. And then obviously what goes up must come down. So the market started to crash after the pandemic. But now that LeBron James rookie card that was $2,000 before the pandemic, that card now is worth like $5,000. So it's corrected itself, but like the market is still like doubled since before the pandemic, if that makes sense. But that's kind of the short history of sports cards. So if you have any cards from the 40s and 50s in your grandpa's closet or basement, it could be worth a lot of money. So I'll take a look.
I love that. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's very interesting to me, the history of sports cards. I had no idea. I remember when I was a kid, I had some sports cards. I got a little chest and put a bunch of cards in there. They probably weren't worth anything. There might have been a couple that were worth a lot. But that's interesting that there's so many different ways to make money. Like, what else have you found? Have you found any other ways to make money that you're like, are you big in investing or crypto or what do you do besides invest in your business? Or is that your main?
That's all I do.
That's all you do. How much money have you invested in yourself and in your business as far as coaching, mentorship, programs, courses?
Coaching and mentorship and courses. If I had to ballpark it, somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000.
Wow,
in that range.
$150,000 to $200,000. Wow,
yeah,
it's incredible. What do you feel like was the best personal development investment you've ever made?
When you're referring to business when you say personal development?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anything that grew your business. Like, what was the best investment you've made? Like a course or a program or mentorship that resulted in you being like, dude, this right here caused this. Like,
wow, that's a great question. Well, Cole Gordon's program is obviously great. What Cole Gordon taught me, so if you want to be nerdy about digital marketing for a second, is he taught me you have to respect every lead. So you could actually, when these leads opt in, you could outbound them and call them and get them on sales calls, which helped a lot. But the biggest needle mover was not a course. It was actually self-inflicted, I guess, was discovering what a webinar was. Changed my life. And I guess Cole Gordon, Cole Gordon's this big guy in digital marketing. You can look him up.
We got a podcast actually together. Hit the link right here if you want to watch it. It's a great podcast. Goes in depth on building skills, skill stacking.
Yeah, so that guy Cole changed my life. So I had a meeting with him one day, and he was saying to me about I asked him, I'm like, dude, this VSL funnel, calendar, book a call, close them. It's just not working. Like, I don't know. I can't scale it past $100,000 at these bad profit margins. And I said,
you were saying that, or he was?
I said that to him, and he was trying this webinar stuff out. And I asked him, should I try a webinar? And he's like, nope, that's a stupid idea. Don't do it. The VSL funnel works, but I didn't listen to him. I wrote the webinar, and through a lot of ups and downs, within the past few weeks, we cracked it, discovered how to scale the shit out of it, and changed my life. Discovering what a webinar was and writing it back in January of 2023, and doing something that in marketing is called an upsell funnel. That for our business changed everything. Everything changed. That's why I live here today. Because of a webinar.
Because of the webinar funnel.
Everything. It changed my life in every single
It changed your way. Wow, that's crazy. So what's the upsell funnel for the people that don't know what that is?
So what an upsell funnel is and why it works for our business. So a lot of you guys watching this podcast probably don't know anything about sports cards, and you guys are probably thinking to yourself, who is this crazy person? Is he even telling the truth? And that's what a lot of people think who see our ads. Like, sports cards, that was a thing back then. Like, can you still make money? And what would happen is getting someone with that mindset and getting them on a high-ticket sales call and trying them to close them on a program for $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, even though the program's great, it can help them make a lot of money. It was just hard. There was just this friction, that's just couldn't overcome with these, these nasty payment plans will come out of it, and just it wasn't good. And what a webinar does, it's this long presentation where you usually sell a product in between a few $100s to a few $1,000s. And basically, I took my program, condensed it, and sold it for $1,000. And the people that were financially qualified, and wanted more coaching, then we upsold them to the $8,000 program. That's what it was at the time. We changed the price sometimes.
What's it at now?
$7,800. But what that did is these people that bought the $1,000 program, who would never give us $8,000, they would go through the $1,000 program, go through some of the videos, and be like, "Oh wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. This is real." And then when we get them on a call about the upgrading program, about the bigger program, they were ready with their credit card in hand. So giving them a small taste just for our business. Alex Hormozi once, this is off topic, not that off topic, but Alex Hormozi once said in a speech one time he was giving, and this was only 10 seconds, but I still remember it to this day. He said something about how Gym Launch is a company this guy owned. He scaled it to millions of dollars a month. He said, you know what? YouTube ads just never worked for us. And when he said that, I thought to myself, I was like, damn, this guy Alex Hormozi, super smart, has all the money in the world, super motivated. He just couldn't get YouTube ads to work. That must mean some things just work for some businesses and some things don't. It's just the nature of the business. And a high ticket sales funnel, VSL funnel, just with our messaging, my face, so the way sports cards is, just wasn't it. But a webinar, that is it. You need to get people to give you a little bit of money before they give you much more if you want to be able to help them at a higher level. So, that's when when Hermosi said that, and then I discovered a webinar, and then after taking this past year to crack the webinar, it changed my life in every type of way.
Wow. Talk to me about creating a webinar. Let's say someone's watching this, that they've already got a coaching business, they're doing 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 a month. Why do you feel like the webinar funnel worked for you? And like, who could it work for?
It only works for B2C.
Okay.
It does not work for B2B. And you need money to spend on ads, to test things. And so people watching this are more like 9-to-5ers?
They're probably a mix of 9 to 5 in college and maybe starting to do the online stuff. They're kind of like where you were. They're trying drop shipping, they're failing.
Okay.
Or they're crushing as a sales rep and they want to eventually jump and do their own thing. So 18 to 25-year-olds.
Okay. So if you were first starting an online business, do not write a webinar. Do not, unless you have experience. And so for us, the webinar worked because sports cards are so green. When I say green, I mean like people are like, what the hell is this? But most offers, you don't need that for. Like if you're like YouTube automation or Amazon or stocks, people are familiar with this stuff. So you could just run a funnel to a calendar and sell them. It's much simpler. Once you start running a webinar, the actual goal of running a webinar, which is a 2-hour-long presentation where you sell about a $1,000 product, like I mentioned before, the goal of a webinar is to eventually automate it. So what you want to do when you run a webinar is go live maybe once or twice a week. I did it for about 5 or 6 months. Understand how to sell on a webinar, what people are saying, what kind of objections to overcome. So you can put that in the webinar. Once you perfect it, which that's hard enough, it's easier to do it live, but you can't do that forever. It'll drive you crazy. Trust me, I'm burnt out from it.
I believe you.
And yeah, it'll drive you nuts. You want to automate it. And automating a webinar is just a whole beast. Like just everything that goes, it's not only the webinar, it's everything that surrounds the webinar. Like the marketing needs to be dialed in. The landing page, like everything, only about 20 to 30% of people show up to a webinar. What do you do with the 80% of other people? Do you send them to a replay sequence? Do you have setters outbound them? When you outbound them, do you sell them low ticket? Do you sell them high ticket? Do you just sell them on the phone? Like all these things need to be tested, and we tested viciously for months and, lost hundreds of thousands of dollars before ever discovering what worked for us. But it's a brutal game, webinar to crack. So don't get into it if you're newer. I would only do it if you've been doing this digital marketing stuff for a year with some sort of success. It will run you broke, it will run you crazy, and it will take you months to write the webinar.
So you're saying, let's say somebody's making, what would you say? You were making about $100,000 a month when you did your webinar?
Revenue.
Yeah. Okay.
Or not revenue, but like cash, and then our profit margins were like 20%.
It's pretty low, huh?
20%. Yeah, VSL wasn't good for us.
Wow, a lot of ad cost.
A lot of payment plans. We had a lot of fixed expenses. We probably had too many employees. Probably had too many, like a guy to write emails, a guy to run our ads. Too many things that I needed to learn myself and do myself. That now we do much more than that, and I do those things myself.
What do you do now in your business? Like, what do you spend your time moving the needle on?
The biggest needle mover is ad creatives. Discover that is the biggest needle mover.
Were you outsourcing that at the time?
Not the creatives, but running in the ads manager, yes. But now since we run a webinar, so the way you need to think about a webinar is it's an asset that's going to convert. And this webinar is going to convert, let's say, 8% of people that watch it, right? That's what our webinar does about. So the game eventually becomes, how can I get more people to see that webinar? That's the game. And in order to do that, you need better ads. Better ads equal lower CPM, better click-through rate, more people opt in. So that's the game. And that's the highest leverage activity I could do. So I spent a lot of my time not only making the ads, because making the ads doesn't take so long. It's researching and seeing what ads have worked in the past, what ads haven't, what people are saying in the sales calls. That's the highest leverage activity I do. And also writing emails is a pretty high leverage activity too as well, actually, believe it or not. But
if you were going to go 0 to 100K and stay very profitable, knowing what you know now, what would you do?
Not start a sports card program because it's too unique of an offer where it takes too much creativity to run the marketing. You're asking me like if I had to start an offer?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's dependent on what your skill set is for every individual. If I had to do it again, I mean, sports cards. For me personally, sports cards. I know it in the back of my.
It's your story. It's your story. Yeah.
Yeah. So like.
So you'd pick something that's oriented around your story.
Yeah.
Something that you've transformed, passionate about.
Yeah. If you have no skills, which people are probably asking themselves, like, shit, I don't know how to teach anything. Like, I don't know anything. Pick something you're passionate about and read every single book you could. Books have been huge for me. You probably have no skills, and I was fortunate. I was buying and selling sports cards for years where I had that skill. But if you have no skills, you have passion, right? And the smartest people in the world at whatever thing you're passionate about have written books on it. So like if it's dating and you don't know anything about dating, but you know you'd love to help people get more girls, read every freaking book you could, dude. There's tons of books out there from dating experts from, the end of time. Or if it's like speaking, just like How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, right? Super famous book. Read every book you could, get good at it yourself, and then go along and teach it. But if you just put in like 3 to 6 months of work of just reading and taking notes and practicing the thing you're passionate about, just by reading books, you don't even need to pay anyone. You can get good at that one thing and then write a program on it and help people. The secret is in books because the smartest people in the world have written books, right?
All right, so as we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to share with the audience about yourself before we kind of wrap up the podcast?
About myself? No, I think I shared everything. Just, I guess the biggest thing I would take away from this podcast is I'm a true believer that controlling your own, like people say that, this is going to sound wrong, but people say that money doesn't buy happiness, but the truth is it does.
It does.
As long as your relationships are healthy in your life, I could tell you money does buy happiness. Like money afforded me to live out here around other entrepreneurs, which has given me more happiness. So like the sad reality of it is, as long as your relationships are intact, money buys you happiness. I'm just going to say it how it is. So with that said, like the biggest thing I think I said, just so you guys could get as much, value from this as possible earlier, if you're looking to make a side income on top of your 9-to-5, sports cards is a great thing. If you're looking for bigger and better things, that whole sales rep thing, where becoming a sales rep for one of these companies, learning the ins and outs, and starting your own business, especially for you guys who are in your low 20s, that is the way to do it. You see these guys that, make all this money, but you didn't see what they did to put in. Like Cole Gordon, makes a lot of money, but he was a sales rep for a company for years before ever starting his own thing. Well, that's kind of true. But, yeah, like get paid to learn and then go out and start your own business. Don't be a fool like me and start your own thing and make every mistake you possibly could and possibly go belly up multiple times. You won't be able to sleep at night. You'll drive yourself crazy. But yeah, that's the biggest piece of advice. But if you're in your 20s, which means you're probably looking to start something big, I would not get into sports cards because I help like 30, 40-year-olds who have a 9-to-5. I would literally become a sales rep or a media buyer for a company that is involved in digital marketing, get paid, learn their shit, start your own thing.
Genius.
That's what
it's the best thing you've said all podcast. Yeah. And that's what I'm really passionate about as well, is helping guys get started with that. And we actually have a free community. It's funny you say that. We have a free community teaching people how to get started in high ticket sales and also get better. A lot of people are in sales, but they suck.
Yeah.
Like they suck. If you're listening to this right now and you're not making at least 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a month, you suck. Like the money's out there. You just need to get better. Hit the link, the first link in the description to join my free sales brotherhood. And then where can people find more of you?
You could just go to my Instagram, Eric Michael MLP. But like I said, if you're in your 20s, I would not get into sports cards. There's bigger and better opportunities out there for you, like what he said with high ticket sales. And he did not pay me to say that, by the way. That is the honest truth. Like, become a sales rep for a year, 2 years, understand the system and how digital marketing works, because you will. Yeah. You'll understand what a CRM is, how to set an appointment, how calendars work, all that stuff. And then go start your own thing. You'll be able to sell whatever the hell you want. Do that, and you'll get paid to start a business. And that's the best thing you could possibly do that I did not do.
I love that. Well, Eric, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, dude, thank you.
Guys, I'm Bridger Rogers. This is Bridging the Gap. And make sure you share this podcast with someone that you feel like would get a lot of value from this. Like maybe something resonated with you, or you're just talking to your buddy about something, starting a side hustle, or figuring out what to do next. Share this with them. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss another episode. Until next time, guys, keep bridging the gap.